Continuing with my Northwest preview for the NBA, the upcoming season. Next, after the Nuggets, is the Minnesota Timberwolves. Now, this is a chic pick from by a lot of people to make the playoffs, perhaps. There's reason for optimism. One of those, the first one being Cat or Karl Anthony Towns. Or you already knew that, though. I don't know why the hell I need to say that, but the season that he had last year, the development that is expected of him this year. But people are saying all-star, first-team All-NBA probably, or perhaps, although Mr. Boogie Cousins down in Sacramento might have a thing to say about that. The development, the continuing development that seemed to stagnate for Andrew Wiggins and the hiring of Tom Thibodeau. Now, something that's very interesting that I've noticed about the Timberwolves is throughout their history, even when they had KG, they never were able to surround, or Kevin Love for that matter, they never were really able to surround him with the talent that was required. When they had KG, Marbury, he left, but there was like Joe Smith and Gugliotta and for a while, and then later was Latrell Sprewell and Sam Cassell, which is the first time in organization history they actually got out of the first round. And then with Kevin Love, it was ill-fated draft picks like Derek Williams and Wesley Johnson and all these other players that seemingly never fit to take, for them to take the ride with the Kevins. Now, as I stated earlier, Wiggins, he's seemingly has played well the first 2 years, but he kind of stagnated defensively. Also, he's not had the impact that many people would have hoped. Maybe, Thibodeau with his defensive background will able to pull that out of him. Chris Dunn, a lot of people like. He could give Minnesota the third straight Rookie of the Year, considering the injury to Ben Simmons and the fact that Ingram is supposed to come off the bench for the Lakers. It seems like it's his award to lose, which fine, as long as he's the starter, which may end up being sooner rather than later, where he's the leading point guard on this team, because Ricky Rubio did the stupid thing of calling for a trade if the team doesn't make the playoffs, and I'm like, you're kind of holding the team back. Yes, you're a great defensive player, but if you can't, if he was one of the thousands of lakes in the state of Minnesota, if he fell out of a boat in June, he wouldn't be able to hit water. That's how bad his shooting has been, and I don't know how many people are going to want a point guard who can't shoot and can't start on a first division team in terms of the NBA playoffs. In terms of making the playoffs, first division team being that. Who wants that as a starter? And if he's coming off the bench, you better be able to score. And if you can't do that, then what market is there for you except for a bad team? So if he wants to make the playoffs, it's in his best interest to get better at shooting the basketball. Now, something I found out very interesting, and it has to be taken with a grain of salt about the Timberwolves, is in terms of pace, I think they were like 18th or 19th last year, which is surprisingly not as fast as you would have thought, considering all the athletes that they have, like including Levine and Wiggins and Karl Anthony Towns and so on and so on and so on, and Shabazz Muhammad. You would have thought, okay, this is a team that's going to go fast. They didn't go as fast. And in Tom Thibodeau's last year, they were actually 20th in pace. So it may not be that big of an impact, but again, during their regular preseason this year, they've been going faster than they did last year. And that's something that I find interesting, because he comes from the school of grind it out, defense first. Let's clamp down. Let's try to win the game 92-87. And now he seemingly is saying, let's go faster. Again, it's the preseason, so none of these stats really matter. But could we be seeing a change of Tom Thibodeau? Will Andrew Wiggins be able to become the great two-way player he's supposed to be, as well as maybe becoming a much more consistent perimeter shooter? And can Karl Anthony Towns be the star that actually gets help from Wiggins and from a Zach LaVine or Chris Dunn, and takes Minnesota to new heights in their franchise in the history of the future? It could be bright. We'll see this year, but today and this season is not the season for the Wolves.